Welcome back to Cuff'em and Quote'em. Today's video is going to be a little bit of a book haul for August and kind of a writing update for my own book. A little bit of some shameless plugs coming up later, don't judge me. And a little bit of just random book talk. In August, I have not been buying a lot of books recently because I have not had time to read them. I'm trying to make a concentrated effort of reading more books, and I have a whole plan. We'll see if I can stick to the plan, but I have a plan. So I have since then returned to the Barnes & Noble shopping. And I picked up a couple books this month in August that are a little bit... I have an extremely eclectic reading taste. I have a whole bunch of fantasy stuff and even more in the cabinet that you can't see. And then over here is a whole bunch of like historical literature, biopic, memoir-y stuff, and a lot of it is like women-centered. So I have a large growing collection of like women in war and women in like the early 19th century. I have an extremely eclectic random reading taste. So while I was wandering around in Barnes & Noble, I saw this book. Now, I've been borrowing the hard copy from my boss, and so when I saw the paperback, I had to grab it because it's actually a very good book. It is the first conspiracy to kill George Washington. For those of you who are American history buffs, you need to read this book. I haven't finished it yet. I need to keep going. For one, he writes it in such an accessible style. Like he manages to write a historical biography of Washington that makes you feel like you're reading a fiction book. Like you're just reading a book. You're not reading it doesn't feel like you're reading a school text or anything. But the other thing that's really cool about this book is this documents how pre-Civil War, or I call it a Civil War because in my head it makes more sense to call the Revolutionary War a Civil War because we were British subjects fighting against the British rule. That would be a civil war, but the Revolutionary War. The very idea of spying and espionage and like those kind of tactics really took hold in the Revolutionary War. And so when these plots to kill the president and, well, at that time the general, and the plots and the amount of espionage that was coming forward caused Washington to create what is now the Secret Service and basically create and shape what is considered modern warfare of espionage. So this is a great history of how the Secret Service, what would become the Secret Service, how espionage and that like the whole idea of using spies and like the CIA and all of that really came out of this little like 2-year period when all of this was shaping. So this was a really great book. While I was picking up this book, I wandered down the aisle, and then this other book caught my attention, and I was like, holy crap, that's my favorite president ever. I definitely have to get this book. Dun, 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 dun. So I actually took a picture of this and sent it to my boss and was like, dude, does this look familiar? So Lincoln is my favorite president. He has been since I was like in 2nd grade. Don't ask me why. I'm just always gravitated toward Lincoln. So this is brand new, came out a couple months ago. This is the Lincoln Conspiracy, and it was the secret plot to kill the 16th president and how it was thwarted. Spoiler alert, Pinkertons. But the Pinkertons, by the way, side note, did y'all know that the Pinkertons are still a thing? I can't even tell you how excited I am when I learned that the Pinkerton company is still a company, has never stopped being a thing. The Pinkertons are alive and well as a private security and threat assessment company. And I want so badly to work with them, even if it's as a secretary, because then I could say, I'm a Pinkerton. I want to grow up to be a Pinkerton, guys. Okay, like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and the plot to kill Robert Ford the plot to kill Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. Great movies. The Pinkertons, Factor and Heatherly. I love Pinkertons. Like, ugh. Like the whole concept of, anyway, I want to be Pinkerton. The Pinkertons is still a thing. Spoiler alert, haven't read the book yet, but spoiler alert, they're Pinkertons. Haven't actually read what it is, because I know about, like, I have more working knowledge of Lincoln than I do of Washington. So, like, I know what the first plot was. Let's see, this is called the, like, unknown attempt, and so I'm like, is there another one that I don't know about? Oh, guys, I just, whoops, kicked the stand. So I just read the flap about what it's about. So I was right. It's about the first plot to kill Abraham Lincoln on his way to DC, and the plot was investigated by and then solved by Alan Pinkerton, who was the founding member of the Pinkertons. Woo! Including one of the first female private detectives in America. Guys, it got even cooler. So I hadn't read that yet, so that was exciting. So that was one of the other books from my big haul is this one. I need to get some books about the Pinkertons. I have a lot of random, like, really early American history books, but I don't have anything about the Pinkertons. I need to get Pinkertons. Anyway, okay. So those were the two very exciting early American history books that I found. And then I continued to wander around. So I found this book. It's The Empire of the Summer Moon. So it's about the Comanche Nation. It's about the rise and the fall, and, like, kind of focuses on their last chief, which I did not know this, but this was super cool. It talks about the saga of the pioneer woman Cynthia Ann Parker, who was kidnapped by Comanches, and then her mixed blood son, I can't say his name, I'm gonna butcher it, so I'm just gonna, him. I'm gonna butcher it, I don't wanna try to butcher it. Her son became the last and the greatest chief of the Comanches. And I really just want to know how that happened, because that sounds like a really cool story, which is why that line alone is what made me get this book, was that this kidnapped pioneer woman ends up becoming the mother of, like, the greatest chief of the Comanches. So I thought that was super cool, and I wanted to know all about him. So ever since I was a little kid, I've always been fascinated with Native American history and their culture and everything. I feel like we don't know enough about these amazing people. So I was really excited when I saw this one. Especially since the Comanches, I mean, they basically, when the white dude tried to go west, they hit them and then they couldn't go west no more. Like, they held them off for such a long time. They were amazing horsemen, fantastic fighters. Like, they had such a large, like, empire, basically. And I don't feel like there's enough known about them and just Native Americans in general. So I was really excited when I found this book. And then, to piggyback off of that, I found, to go back to my random mix of genres, I found this book, which is Code Talker, about the code talkers in World War II, which is one of the most fascinating things on the planet to me. And so it was written by one of the Navajo code talkers. So it's a memoir of Chester Nez, who's one of the last remaining Navajo code talkers. How could I not get that? I haven't been able to get through them yet. I'm still trying to slowly work my way through the George Washington conspiracy killer book. And then I really want to read Lincoln next, because Pinkertons. The other reason I haven't had much time to read at all, unless it's an audiobook that I'm listening to on the way to work, is because I've been trying terribly to get book 2 finished, my book 2. So I had published Shadow's Voice about a year and a half ago, and I finally got book 2 finished. Shadows Past is the sequel. Published date to be determined. I am trying desperately to get that edited and to a point where I can get it sent to a publisher by the end of this year. And so any free time I do have that I would like to be reading, I am instead editing. And so that's part of why I can't be reading. I really hope I can get Shadows Past edited and sent off by the end of fall. Oh, hopefully, is my plan. It's been off at the beta readers, and I'm just waiting for one report back from my beta readers. The feedback has been very good so far. Actually, much better than I actually thought it would be. I was very worried about the first half of my book, the pacing and then the plot development and the characterization. I just felt like it wasn't quite there. But I've been staring at this stupid manuscript for so long, I couldn't figure it out anymore. So I was just like, okay, whatever, I'm gonna send it off and people are just gonna share it, and the feedback will be fine. But the feedback I've got back is actually I'm actually very surprised with how positive the feedback has been. A lot of them have really liked it. The feedback has been very, very good, which is very exciting. But that's where I am at. And that is why I have not been reading. So that was August's book haul of random stuff and my random fangirling of early American history and the Pinkertons and stuff. I don't know. If you guys know of any good books about the Pinkertons, please put them in the comments below so I can look for them. I really do enjoy the Pinkertons and like their history, and just like they started off as a train like guard for the trains, and it turned into so much like a private company that guards the money in trains for banks suddenly becomes the president's private security. Like, mind-blowing. Anyway, sorry. If you have any good books about the Pinkertons, please put them in the comments below because I really want to read them. And if any of you have read the books that I talked about today, please let me know what your thoughts are. Thanks for joining me on this little random thing. Yeah, I will see you next time.